Hello everyone! I just wanted to have a quick chat about Urban Decay discontinuing the Naked palette. So when they first said that the palette was discontinued, I thought, really, it's about time. This is a palette that has been out since 2010, and it does seem dated. Now, 8 years ago is really not that long of a time, but so much has changed with makeup, with the beauty industry in the last couple of years, that the Naked palette just doesn't have the same impact that it once did. But it still has an incredible reputation. Everybody has heard about the Naked palette if they are into makeup, even just a little bit. The Naked palette is truly iconic. So the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Urban Decay has pretty much built their entire brand around the Naked palette. They started releasing other Nakeds, Naked 2, Naked 3, Naked Smoky, Naked Heat, Naked Basics, Naked Ultimate Basics. It goes on and on. Plus they have base products, foundation, concealer. There's a lipstick called Naked. So for them to discontinue the original palette really made me go, okay, there's something not quite right here. So I started thinking about some sort of like conspiracy theories. I was actually messaging my friend Hunter about it, and the more I was talking to her about this stuff, the more I was like, you know what, there really is something else going on here. There has to be something else. So of course the first thing that comes to mind is that it's just a big marketing ploy. They made a whole funeral video with the intro that reminded me of Taylor Swift's Look What You Made Me Do. You know, they have Nicole Richie and a handful of beauty gurus at this Naked palette funeral, and it's very strange. And why would they make a commercial? I watched the funeral a couple of times and it's so cringy, and I just couldn't stop thinking of like, oh, the old Naked palette can't come to the phone right now. Why? She's dead. It seemed very, very odd. Like, I get that it's such a huge product, so of course they would announce it. It's been all over their social media. They sent out emails. The palette's half price. Buy it now before it's gone. Buy it now before it's gone. Of course, there has to be that push. But it's very strange to me. They did it all of a sudden. And usually with these sort of sales, it sort of trickles down a little bit, but it's everywhere. Like, I know Shoppers in Canada sells Urban Decay products, and normally it takes them a little while to get the sales, but the Naked palette is already on sale there. It's on sale everywhere. They are definitely discontinuing it. Or are they? Is this gonna be another situation where it's like back by popular demand? Are they going to reformulate it a little bit, maybe repackage it? So I have a long history with the Naked palette. I actually panned this palette a long time ago. My Naked palette is truly naked, and I do have a whole Pan That Palette series on my channel. So I know the issues firsthand with the Naked palette, and I know that it could use a reformulation. Urban Decay's formula is much better now than it was 8 years ago. And just the assortment of shadows could be different, but then it doesn't really make sense that they would reformulate it or even make some substitutions and still call it the Naked palette, because they have other things in their line. They made the Naked Basics palette to go with the Naked palette because people were complaining that there weren't enough matte shades. So then they had the Naked Basics and Naked 2 Basics and a Naked Ultimate Basics, all these other matte shades that would complement palettes like this and their other ones. So for them to make some sort of changes doesn't really make sense. And it's quite possible that the palette hasn't been selling that well, because when this palette first came out in 2010, it was revolutionary. There was not another palette like this that had your assortment of neutral shades and a fairly flattering assortment of neutral shades that would work for a wide variety of skin tones and, you know, eye colors. It's just very versatile in that sense. But as we all know, over the last couple of years, so many more eyeshadows have come out, palettes and singles and everything you can possibly imagine. So there hasn't been a whole lot of data. I tried searching for financial stuff, but where Urban Decay is owned by L'Oreal, everything's sort of just lumped together. So of course the profits have been up, which doesn't surprise me, but I don't know what like the individual sale of the Naked palettes are. I'm guessing it's not as good as it was before, and simply because brands keep pushing out more and more stuff. But it was obviously still doing well, or they would have discontinued it a long time ago. So the founder of Urban Decay, Wendy, actually said this. She said, "Saying goodbye to Naked is extremely bittersweet. It was a big moment in our history. It's a little painful to leave your past behind, but it's also essential to always evolve." Now, part of this could also be for nostalgia's sake. Maybe they're trying to bring more positive attention to the brand. Urban Decay hasn't had the best reputation lately because they've been pushing out products, limited edition things that have been discontinued and on sale almost immediately. It's been kind of like a running joke. And people weren't really turning to Urban Decay for eyeshadow as much as they have been turning for other brands. So maybe this will make people think about it, because for a lot of people, the Naked palette was their first palette, or at least one of their first palettes. I know this was like the second high-end eyeshadow palette I ever had. So there's definitely like a little bit of a nostalgia sake there, and you sort of reminisce a little bit. And I definitely can see that they'd want to take advantage of that a little bit. Now, I did do a little bit of digging, and this is what I found very interesting. So on the nostalgia's sake, the first thing I'll say is that I was digging through some trademarks. So all this stuff is just public access. And I found a trademark for Pocket Rocket, which was actually filed by L'Oreal, and they own Urban Decay. So all the new sort of Urban Decay trademarks are not filed under Urban Decay specifically, they're filed under L'Oreal. But I saw the Pocket Rocket, and Pocket Rocket was a lip gloss that Urban Decay was really well known for back in the day, pre-Naked palette. And it's interesting that they just filed for a new trademark on this thing. It makes me think that maybe they're going to bring it back, because people have wanted some of these other nostalgic things. Like Urban Decay did bring back a limited collection of some eyeshadow and some lipstick and polish from like their original line. This is kind of a popular occurrence. Too Faced has done this recently with their like revamped, reflecting back on the past. And it makes me think maybe this is a whole nostalgia thing. Maybe they're going to try and capitalize on that and bring back some of the edge of Urban Decay. Maybe the funeral thing is really symbolic and they're trying to like let go of some of those ties, but they still have the Naked line. They have so many Naked lines that they can't really separate from, and I don't see them discontinuing the whole thing, because it's really just the foundation of the brand at this point. What is Urban Decay without all of their Naked products? So they actually have trademarks for 3 Naked things that haven't come out yet. And the first one that I found were Naked Cherry and Naked Honey. So these could be pretty interesting products. I of course immediately jumped to eyeshadow. Now they do have other things, like I've mentioned before, in the Naked thing, but I could picture a Naked Honey palette. I'm thinking, at first I was thinking, oh man, it would be like bronzes and golds and, maybe some reds or something like that. And then I went, yeah, I would totally be all over that. That would be very on trend without breaking new ground. Just like Naked Cherry, I could definitely imagine an assortment of cherry sort of eyeshadows, different tones of reds, maybe even some purples possibly. Could be interesting. But the trademark I found the most interesting is Naked AF. So I just came across this one, and this is what made me think, so maybe it's going to be Naked for the new generation. That's kind of my theory right now. I'm thinking that they are going to reformulate and repackage the Naked palette, revamp it, so there'll still be a handful of the original shades, but then there'll be the sort of new Naked shades, and call it Naked AF. Now this could go over very well, or this could go over terribly. It's going to be hard to say. Now the issue I have right now is how hard they're pushing for people to purchase the original Naked palette. And I even saw some other people pushing for it too. Like Candy Johnson was in the funeral video, and I saw a tweet that she sent out saying, like, get your original Naked palette now before it's gone. It's just the use of the word original that makes me stop and go, And even in the funeral video, they called it the OG. This is the OG palette. So there could very well be another Naked palette, something that's supposed to be another staple of their line, the new neutrals. Like, yes, they could have done Naked 4, but where's the fun in that? How many people would have just sort of yawned at that and passed on it if they had released another Naked palette? But by discontinuing the original one, a lot of people are like, what is Urban Decay gonna do next? They haven't really hinted at anything since they had the Born to Run palette, so people are like, what could they do? What could they do next? If they are discontinuing this palette, it has to be for a reason. They're hinting at new beginnings. And, you know, at the end of the commercial, there's a little wink. So it seems like something's really unfinished and something is about to start. And it's very interesting timing with everything that's been going on, but it's definitely been planned for a little while. So I think it's a little bit of a coincidence there, but it truly does seem like an end of an era. Like things are changing, people are rebelling, and the discontinuation of the Naked palette and what Urban Decay decides to do next, I think will potentially shape some of the future for the beauty industry, just based on how revolutionary that palette was. If they can kind of keep up this momentum with people talking about it, I think that this could be the next big thing, but it all depends on how far they're willing to take it. So is it going to be something that is going to be completely different than what we've seen before? Hopefully. It'd be nice to see something different and something that's not just the same standard usual assortment of things. Now maybe my hopes are too high, maybe I'm expecting too much, but I'm definitely curious to see what will happen moving forward. And I just wanted to share some of the things that I uncovered and some of my thoughts. And I also wanted to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? What do you think about Urban Decay discontinuing the Naked palette? Because everybody always has a different perspective and it's so interesting to me, and it really helps me view things in different ways. And I'm just really interested in this topic more than I thought I was going to be, because I feel like this could really be the start of something more than it's the end of something. So anyway, please chime in and let me know your thoughts on the discontinuation of the palette and what you think Urban Decay might do going forward. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to chat with you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.